And with that, viewers, we are now going to move. Now, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi have visited Horyuji Temple in Nara as a visit to the temple in Takaichi's hometown came on the second day of the bilateral summit between the two countries. Lee and Takaichi have said that they have discussed industrial supply chains, artificial intelligence, denuclearization of the Korean peninsula, and cooperation with their mutual ally, the US. The meeting in Nara comes a week after Lee met Chinese President Xi Jinping, while Japan and China remain locked in a diplomatic dispute following remarks by Takaichi that Japan could deploy its forces if a Chinese attack on Taiwan posed an existential threat. However, China regards Taiwan as part of its territory, a claim the self-governing island rejects. I have Collins Chong-Yu-Keat, who continues to stay with us in this discussion. Collins, is it going to be tough for South Korea to strike a balance between Japan and China?
Definitely, we have seen how Lee Jae-myung has undertaken the shuttle diplomacy, visiting Beijing and now trying to renew ties with Tokyo. Of course, we have seen how historical legacies still prevail in terms of different issues, conflicts between both nations. So this visit now is the intent being shown that there's this new era of this compelling mutual need, to have a new relationship, one that is based on ensuring the interests of both sides are being cared for, with regards to common threats, whether from Pyongyang, whether from potentially from a more aggressive Beijing, also of course from this new power presence by Moscow. So we have seen how the site being chosen, this Buddhist temple, this Horyuji Temple in Nara, is of great significance. It symbolizes this pre-war, pre-empire, pre-nationalist conflict between both nations, and it is a platform for civilizational space for both countries before these new legacies on the war, and by going there together, Takaichi and Lee are now sending a very strategic message to both domestic audiences that it is now time to move beyond historical conflicts, and they are now shifting towards a new era of bilateral ties based on the need to work together based on this cultural framework, and of course also in light of all these common threats and the need to also ensure a continuous support system, because both share the strategic dependence on Washington, and now that there's this compelling need for both of them to work together to give a united stance in the eyes of Trump to continue to get the needed security umbrella from Washington. So this common cultural framework and togetherness, and they frame these new sentiments of being the co-founders of this civilizational space for East Asia, not only being being dictated by the framework of this soft power push by Beijing, and they are both now sending a message also to Beijing that Japan and South Korea are also the leaders of East Asia, whether from soft power perspective or also from the deterrent hard power perspective. So this matters more in both ideological and non-ideological frameworks, and that this is a time where there's this strong, profound need for both of them to work together, and of course also to not to let these past historical war legacies to again dictate or being used as a thorn in the relations between both sides.
And what do you have to say about the question of denuclearization on the Korean peninsula? Do you think North Korea would want to be, a party to that?
Well, we have seen how South Korea has been pushing for its own leverage and autonomy on the setting up of its own nuclear deterrence, but of course that has not gone down well with Washington, and if Seoul gets that done, then of course Tokyo will be pushing for that too, and now of course also Seoul is feeling the jitters. He has got the wariness in terms of the future of the long-term US security umbrella, and of course during this administration and the post-Trump era, and it now sees that there's this serious need for for South Korea to have its own security self-determination, security deterrence on its own, and of course now we have seen this is exactly why President Lee has been undertaking this shuttle diplomacy now to balance relations in East Asia with both China and Japan, and of course also we have seen how it is getting increasingly complex and difficult for Seoul to rebuild ties with Pyongyang, even with the support of Beijing, and now Seoul is trying new ways to have these fallback options and these new friendshoring efforts, and hence we have seen how it's trying very hard to have these new ties with Tokyo, and of course also with Pyongyang in mind, and how Pyongyang has been the main threat to both Seoul and Tokyo. And but I don't think that there's any immediate breakthroughs for this peaceful relations between Pyongyang and Seoul for now, especially regards to Seoul getting Beijing or Tokyo to push Pyongyang to give up its nuclear ambitions. If Washington can't do that now, and of course I don't see any breakthroughs for even Beijing to push Pyongyang to do the same.
All right. Collins, thanks very much for joining us in this discussion. And viewers, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the World Report on NewsX World. Thanks for watching. For all international news and updates.